What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and the Naughty Dog defenders are doing everything they can right now. They are scrambling to claim some sort of victory after the devastating news that Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann received. The Last of Us Part 2 has been beaten by Ghost of Tsushima. Yes, The Last of Us Part 2, one of the most highly anticipated game releases that we have ever seen after the enormous success of the first game. The failure, The Last of Us Part 2, has been beaten by Ghost of Tsushima. More people downloaded Ghost of Tsushima than they did The Last of Us Part 2. That is just a fact. That is just the bottom line. You can't skew those numbers with over-shipping. These are digitally downloaded games. Bottom line. But now they're trying to go back to the well and say, well, look at all the physical sales though, even though we know there are still stacks of games rotting on shelves. Places that were shipped 175 copies of The Last of Us Part 2 still have 80 sitting on the shelves because no one bought this game. Nearly half their inventory is still remaining and all has counted towards The Last of Us Part 2 game sales. And this is what I'm talking about. Ghost of Tsushima beats Last of Us 2 as most downloaded PlayStation 4 exclusive of 2020. This was just 2 days ago, and there was nothing out of these people. Not a peep from all the Last of Us 2 fans. They were silent as they saw the facts. Ghost of Tsushima, more downloaded than The Last of Us Part 2. There is nothing you can do to skew those numbers like we have seen the entire time. We remember when we saw this, The Last of Us Part 2 sells 4 million copies. This is one of the latest updates we got from Naughty Dog considering game sales. All the while, you saw these things. You saw stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of The Last of Us Part 2 rotting on shelves, sitting on shelves, because guess what? No one was actually buying this game. These stores ordered so much because they thought that this game was going to be incredible. They were promised what this game would be by Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann. Nobody knew it was going to be all about Abby and Ellie, that Joel was going to get killed off by Abby very early on because they misled you. They lied to you with the trailers and the marketing and everything. Naughty Dog knew once people understood, they wouldn't buy the game. And that's exactly what we're seeing. But now, what is the story now? Now, people are pointing out to this. Now, this is the 2020 top 20 sellers across all platforms, digital and physical. What do we see? The Last of Us Part 2 ahead of Ghost of Tsushima. And now they're all coming out of the woodwork and saying, look guys, look, we told you Last of Us Part 2 was better. Let's just be real. We know that this game is still sitting on shelves. Ghost of Tsushima was sold out nearly everywhere for months. It was hard to find. Last of Us Part 2, easy. You can go out and buy it right now because these places have it on sale for $20 or $30, while Ghost of Tsushima is still selling for $50. The reason being, Ghost of Tsushima is continuing to sell. They can't get rid of their Last of Us Part 2 inventory. And if you want me to show you how ridiculous it is to think that The Last of Us Part 2 has been selling, let's just take a look at this tracking. Look at the same thing we're going to show you. September 2020, all the way back in September, is the last time Last of Us Part 2 was tracking in the top 10 for PlayStation, both physical and digital. What do we see in October? Oh, and Ghost of Tsushima, by the way, was number 5. In October, Ghost of Tsushima actually climbs to number 4. No Last of Us Part 2 in sight. November, Ghost of Tsushima is still in there, even with all these new releases sitting there at 9 in the top 10. No Last of Us Part 2 to be found. And now in December, the last month of the year, Ghost of Tsushima still in the top 10. Still in the top 10 as Last of Us Part 2 is nowhere to be found. But you're trying to tell me that, oh guys, wait, it really outsold it though. We know where all those sales came from, those sales. It was basically in that first weekend push, like we have said all along, where we saw these games sitting there. And I could find 20, 30, 40 different images. I've done all the videos throughout these couple months of all these copies of The Last of Us Part 2 sitting on shelves. Like I said, one of the retailers I deal with very closely, they received 175 copies of The Last of Us Part 2. As of just a few weeks ago, where were they sitting at? They still had over 80. Nearly half of their stock is still there. All that counts as game sales. All that counts as money for Naughty Dog because the retailer paid them. The retailer gave them that money. And that is the bottom line. So you can try to do whatever you want. You can try to spend it any way you can. Everyone knows the truth. When the fans got to decide what the better game was, what did they choose? Of course, they chose Ghost of Tsushima over The Last of Us Part 2, while the journalists continue to try to spin each and everything they can towards The Last of Us Part 2. What do we see here? Of course, what was the fan reaction? The critics loved the game. The fans were completely divided and split because so many people despised this game. And Metacritic tried to help them too. They removed a bunch of negative reviews while leaving the fake positive reviews, as we have documented here on this channel. Whereas Ghost of Tsushima absolutely blew it away. Now, just like Last of Us Part 2, there are several fake positive reviews. Absolutely there are. But you gotta admit when it happens to both sides. And right now, the people that are trying to spin this is real, right? The digitally downloaded games, you can't spin that. You can't possibly be like, oh, well, we overshipped the digital games. No, that's not how it works. Ghost of Tsushima, more people downloaded it than The Last of Us Part 2. They're going back to try to say, well, but what about physical games? You guys need to make a statement about this. Now, we know the truth. We know that all along the way, these games that were shipped to stores have been counted in these physical sales. And that is why it's an absolute farce and a sham. When you look at the real stuff that can't be spun, like these digital game sales, Ghost of Tsushima beats The Last of Us Part 2. Now, I'm sure people are going to be really butthurt about this. I know they're going to be really upset. But bottom line, you look at this physical and full game digital sales. I just showed you the tracking for Ghost of Tsushima, right? People are continuing to buy Ghost of Tsushima. People haven't bought Last of Us Part 2 in months, despite the fact that these games released just 1 month apart. Last of Us Part 2, then Ghost of Tsushima. I think it was 3 or 4 weeks apart. What an embarrassment for Naughty Dog and for their fans who are trying to do everything they can. Talk about stuff that we addressed months ago with the physical game sales. Yeah, really looks like it's been going great, doesn't it? Glad that all these unsold copies rotting on shelves count towards your physical game sales. Must feel really good. But it's laughable. We all know who the true game of the year is. The one that more people have downloaded than The Last of Us Part 2, and that is Ghost of Tsushima. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my PO box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.